has the most to prove?
Give me C.J. Stroud for 500. C.J. Stroud has the most to prove. You're like, Sam, what do you mean C.J. Stroud? He was a rookie last year. He said rookie records. There's no pressure. C.J. Stroud, he's a rookie. Nah, dude. This dude, they just got Stephon Diggs. They're in a win-now mentality. They just got Joe Mixon, right? Danielle Hunter on the defensive side of the ball. Danico Autry, Alshire, inside linebacker. This team is building their entire offseason, season future around C.J. Stroud. Now, do I think he's up to the challenge? Absolutely. But he definitely has a lot to prove. Proof that last year was just the floor of your future. And oh, by the way, with that being the floor, then add a dynamic running back, which I love Singletary from last year, but add Mixon at running back, add Diggs to Tank Dell. And I mean, like, I think about this team as like, okay, wow, you're upper echelon, like top 3 or so team in the AFC. That's what you have if C.J. Stroud plays the way you expect. And then also if you get Stephon Diggs, what you've seen the last, 5, 6, 7, however many years he's been playing at this high level.
And I'll say also with Houston and C.J. Stroud, what's different about 2024, they're not going to have that weak schedule. Winning that division last year, they're going to have a lot more tougher games. You got to play that first place schedule moving into 2024. But for me, I'm going to bend the rules a little bit, Acho, here. I got 2 guys. And number one, I'm going to start with Josh Allen, right? Because now he's not going to have a Stephon Diggs. You're not going to have a Gabe Davis. You're not going to have the guy that really helped propel your career, uplift your career upon his arrival. They're going to be drafting another wide receiver, and he's going to have to find that rapport with that young guy, even though I don't think it'll be a problem, but that pressure is still going to be on him. Secondly, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott, and it's not about the regular season because Dak Prescott was top 5 in QB rating, completion percentage, touchdowns, a lot of different other things when it came to the quarterback statistics. But when it got to the playoffs, like it's been the last 3 years for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott has not been able to get it done. So when I'm talking about him, it's solely on the playoffs and beyond. It's nothing to do with the regular season. He's been able to do it there. But for the postseason, I'm putting Dak Prescott on that list.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, you said Josh Allen, and my first thought is, come on, bro, Josh Allen just lost Stephon Diggs. What does he have to prove? But to the counter of that, and almost to your point, it could actually prove that, hey, not necessarily that I didn't need Stephon Diggs, right? But also, hey, look how much better I can be or just as good without Stephon Diggs. Remember with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill leaving? No, I don't think he had a lot to prove, but he did prove to us that, hey, I don't need Tyreek Hill. I don't really need anybody. I don't need receivers. I could do it all by myself. And so what if we have a situation where Josh Allen and this team still finds a way to win, maybe win in the playoffs, maybe make it to the Super Bowl without Stephon Diggs? Now there's no question or conversation of, oh, well, you needed Stephon Diggs to elevate your game. No, my game was already elevating. Stephon Diggs absolutely helped that. I'm not discrediting him, but, man, I'm still having high success without him. I could rock with that a little bit of Josh Allen having a lot to prove without his star receiver.
Okay, so HD said Dak Prescott is the second quarterback that he feels like has the most to prove. Adam Schefter has some interesting sound on what the Cowboys are planning on doing at the draft. Take a listen.
What are they going to do at quarterback if they lose Dak? That's interesting. And that's why I think the Dallas Cowboys might just be a sleeper team in the quarterback market during the draft, because at some point in time, they might have to draft a quarterback higher than you'd think, because Dak is going into the last year of the contract, and it might be time to get somebody in there to start grooming him. Just like they found Dak Prescott in round 4, might be time to go find another quarterback in another round to begin to get him ready.
HD, your reaction to what Shefty said?
I don't think so. When I look at the Dallas Cowboys and the inability to be able to bring in free agents and sign them, now you have to bank on your draft. They have offensive line needs. They have a running back need. They have more defensive line and more linebacker needs, I feel like, personally. So when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, you have a first, a second, and a third round pick. One of the luxuries I think that they've been able to have over the last 4 drafts, I should say, and a lot of people don't give them credit for this, is being able to draft well. So I don't think in the first round you have time to be wasting on a quarterback, especially someone that she doesn't know that's proven in the National Football League. You took a 4th-round draft pick and traded for Trey Lance, who was a former 3rd-round overall pick. That's your developmental guy right now that you use your 4th-round draft pick on. use that first-round draft pick on an offensive lineman. Second round, probably go running back. If you don't want to go running back there, go third round running back. Use a second-round pick on a defensive player. But I think there's so many needs on this football team that was not active in free agency for them to be using a first-round draft pick on a quarterback.
Disagree, and I think the reason is because of this. I think about Green Bay as a starting point of teams that have picked quarterbacks even when they had a quarterback playing at a high level. Green Bay went and took Jordan Love even when Aaron Rodgers was playing at a high level. And oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers went and won 2 more MVPs even while Jordan Love was still there. Oh, what a horrible decision. No, it wasn't. Now Jordan Love is likely leading the Packers towards NFC North championships, or whatever you want to call it, right? You can talk about Lions, Bears, whatever, but he's coming. And so I think that actually I have no issues with the Cowboys taking a quarterback early in the draft, maybe round 1. Maybe you go to round 2. If a guy like Michael Penix, for whatever reason, falls down the draft boards, I actually would love if Dallas did that because it provides you some security, not just for now, but for the future. Let's say Dak keeps on playing at a high level. He had one of his best years last year under Mike McCarthy. We know how great of a coach Mike McCarthy is. Great. You have a quarterback you can develop. Let's say you don't want to give Dak that long-term extension. You don't know what's going to happen next year. Great. You had a quarterback who learned for an entire year from Dak Prescott and this culture and gets acclimated with the team, and now he's your quarterback moving forward, kind of like you had when Dak took over for Tony Romo after Tony Romo got injured. And so for me, I don't think it's ever too early to go and get a quarterback. Part 1. Part 2, I'll end here. You talked about Trey Lance being that developmental guy, and maybe he is. But also, it never hurts to have another guy who you actually drafted, chose, and selected in your organization to lead your team for the future.
Well, here's my only rebuttal to that, Acho, is because when I look at Dak Prescott, I just mentioned he was top 5 in just about everything, right? And it's not the regular season that we're talking about, it's the postseason. But you know what you're getting when it comes to Dak Prescott. When you're taking a rookie in the first round or you're taking a rookie in this draft, you don't know what you're getting. So that's the only thing I would say when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys who view themselves as contending for a Super Bowl right now. What did that leaves you with a rookie that you don't really know how it's going to pan out?
Yeah, but Harry, you said they look at themselves as contending right now. They always look at themselves as contending. Even when Tony Romo, when Dak Prescott came in, for Tony Romo, they looked at themselves as contending. When Tony Romo came in, they looked at themselves and they were contending. And so I think that if you look at some of their front office staff that says, hey, let's evaluate this position, let's evaluate our needs, let's evaluate what's in the draft, and the right player is available in round 1 or round 2. I keep on pointing to Penix because, we were there together on the sideline watching him at Washington in the Sugar Bowl, tearing up University of Texas. We saw that with our own eyes. It was outstanding. It was amazing. They saw him personally. All the teams that came out and watched him run in the 4.5s and the 40, watched him throw all over the field at his pro day. So we saw that firsthand. I don't think that you can discount saying, okay, we know who Dak Prescott is. We know where he can take us, but we want to have somebody for the future and maybe somebody that could take us further when it matters. That's what I think is cannot be discounted when it comes to looking at and evaluating this position.
Good there, Ichi?
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to ask you, because you mentioned the fact that obviously every single season the Cowboys are contending for a Super Bowl championship. Acho, I'm going to start with you. How far do you think that they'll actually go this season?
No, I think it's the same thing. Make the playoffs, maybe win the division and lose in the first, second round. I don't say they're always contending. They say they are contending. They want to contend. Jerry Jones wants to contend, but historically speaking, Dallas has had a hard time winning in the playoffs, point blank period, right? When I was a little kid, 80s, early 90s, they were winning Super Bowls back to back to back. Recently, the last 20 years or so, they haven't. And so I think that the Cowboys will have a formidable team. I think they'll have a top offense again because of their coaching staff, the quarterback, receiver, CeeDee Lamb. But the issue has and consistently has been, can they win when it matters? Can they win in the playoffs? So let's go back, 2021 or 22 when they beat the Buccaneers, right? Tom Brady's last year, 2 years ago. All right, great playoff win, but what'd you do after that? So I think they'll be able to have success in the playoffs early, but for me, it's what happens when you play San Francisco? What happens when you play, maybe it is a hot Green Bay team? What happens then? Those are the questions that are yet to be answered for me.
Yeah, I'm not high on Dallas right now. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen, Tyron Smith and also Tyler Biadasz. Tyron Smith is now with the New York Jets and Biadasz is with the Washington Commanders. Also, who is your running back going to be? What I do know about the National Football League right now, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to be balanced offensively. And that's just not the case when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys because everything is predicated off the pass game and CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. That's another reason why when they got into the tight red zone or the red zone period or they got into short yardage situations and they're trying to pass the football versus running it, because you don't have that statement on your offensive line, nor do you have it at the running back position. So I think those are major needs for their offense. And if they want to contend for a Super Bowl, you have to be balanced on that side of the ball. But also defensively, you have to be able to stop the run. When I look at what the Buffalo Bills were able to do to the Dallas Cowboys last season and Josh Allen barely throwing the football and rushed for over 200 yards, that was embarrassing. You can't be playing with a pissant linebacker. You got to have size.
All right, we'll leave that conversation there. We love talking